Look what we have here, everybody. Welcome everyone to Systems Lab Live. This is, my friends, the July 24th edition. I'm super excited to be here with you all tonight. Do me a favor, share this live stream with, I don't know, maybe like 50, 100 people. No, send it to 3 to 4 people that work in the operations and project management space. These are the people that are boots on the ground doing the work. They are leading the teams, they're managing the projects, and they're developing the processes. These are the people who are executing at a high level. These are the people who are in the entrepreneurship space. Maybe they're an OBM, maybe they are a VP of a company, maybe they are a business analyst, maybe they work for a nonprofit, maybe they're a part of a board. Let me know. Go ahead and send it to them because they need to know that the number 1 show live stream on project management is live. It's live. This is the only place where you're going to get tactical training, practical tactical training on strategies relating to leading projects, managing teams, and developing processes. So welcome. And here's the question. Here's really the question. Here's what we're really looking at right now. And what's happening, Tasha Talks Credit. I'm so glad that you are here tonight. Here's what we're asking this critical question because my PMs, I talk to my peoples a lot, and I'm peoples too. And so one of the things that I think is so striking in this day and age of doing this day-to-day work, whether you're in the nonprofit industry, social impact, healthcare, sports management, it don't really matter. Like, there's a lot of super talented people out here. But when I think about some of the core problems that we face on a continual basis, I often say to myself, man, why is it that we struggle with relating to certain people or getting our team back on track? And some of it is it could be strategy stuff, right? Some of it could be like, oh, we need to implement this process. Oh, we need to go and take this different approach. But really it boils down to is, are we emotionally intelligent people? But more importantly, or maybe not more importantly, as equally as important, as project managers and project leaders, are we emotionally intelligent? Because that is the difference maker between being a great project manager and being indispensable. What do we mean by indispensable? I'm so glad that somebody asked that question in the comments. All right. I think this is a good question to ask. All right. What does it mean to be indispensable? That means to be absolutely necessary. That means you are absolutely necessary to get the job done. Oh, and shout out to, what is this? Logo Community has joined us on Instagram. Thank you so much. No, I don't need a logo, but thank you so much for asking. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, so are you absolutely indispensable? Can you, without a shadow of a doubt, say to yourself, me as a PM, me as Ashley Schuler, am I indispensable in my current role? Whether that's in business, whether that's in my career, whether that's I'm a part of an initiative or a team or what have you. Am I indispensable? Am I absolutely necessary? Or am I movable? Or am I optional? This is going to be so good tonight because we're going to be diving into what does it take? How do we become emotionally intelligent as a project manager? How do we do that? And I think this is really good for us to dive into tonight. So what I want to do is I'm going to go over and I want to review what is emotional intelligence. We throw out a lot of these words and these terms like personal development, leadership development, emotional intelligence. What's another one? Your IQ versus your EQ, or relational intelligence. What do these terms even mean? So I had an Instagram carousel, and I'll also probably post this on LinkedIn. If you're part of the LinkedIn crew, what's up? It's good to see you all. Make sure you all are leaving comments and asking your questions. But I wanted to do a definition check. So when we're talking about emotional intelligence, we're talking about the ability to understand and manage not only your own emotions, but the emotions of others. So we're talking about when somebody cuts you off at the red light. Hey, can you manage that emotion? Someone cuts you off on the highway. How many of us have managed our emotions well? Hey, I'm gonna be honest. It's like someone's trying to cut in front. It's like you ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere, right? So I had somebody try to edge me out to get into another lane. I was like, are you kidding me? Me, and something was rising up in my own spirit to say, you ain't gonna you ain't gonna cut in front of me. So here's where we're talking about how do we manage our emotions on a daily basis? How are we managing our team's emotions? That is what emotional intelligence is all about. That's what it's all about. I have a Miro board, and I'll show it to you all in a few minutes because I think it's important especially when we start talking about DISC assessment. But one of the definitions that I picked up from a course, it says being emotionally intelligent means that you understand your emotions, another person's emotions, how to apply them, and then how you can understand others. So this is strictly about how we go about understanding our emotions, how we handle them, and also like how we're handling people. Because this is what I always say is that project management is people centered and people focused. Some people say, Ashley, well, duh, that's, I mean, that's par for the course. We know this, but do we know this? Do we often know? Because oftentimes, as project managers, we are focused on the deliverable, the task. Why this is late? Why this particular task is late? What dependency do we have? What is the client saying? When really at the core of it, this is really it's a people managed, people centered work. People are at the heart of what we're doing. So it behooves me, you, I, and the rest of the PM fam and our whole crew that we learn to tap into emotional intelligence. That's what's going to get us from great to indispensable and also be able to help boost our careers and help us to be able to lead in such a way where we're going to be able to improve project results. So, how does that sound, y'all? That sounds good so far? Make sure you put your questions in the comment. What's going on? The story of my life, established 881. We love it. We love to see it. So, here we are talking about emotional intelligence. And I'm going to give you there's so many different ways to take this. I think I have about 4 different points that I want to highlight, that I want to underscore, and then we'll take some questions. And if we need to do some follow up, I'm down for a follow up because this is for me, this is some important stuff. So the first thing that I want to talk about that I think that we should most definitely dive into is talking about understanding yourself. What's happening, Casey? We want to talk through understanding yourself. I come from this perspective of when there's a problem or an issue, I know for me, this is how I used to think, and I often have to check my own self. I be checking myself now, okay? And then also it's good to have accountability as well. But one thing I do is I used to do a lot, which is look at the other person. What you doing? Okay, what are you doing wrong? Why are you doing that? And we often want to see change within a team, change within what we're doing in terms of our projects, our work and our tasks. And we're often very much focused on I think you need to do something. I think you need to do something. When really, when we want to see some change, we got to start with ourselves. We got to understand who we are at our core. So the first thing I want to underscore is that we have to start with ourselves. What are our triggers? What are our emotions? What are they? I think, y'all, I think this is instrumental. I think this is instrumental in knowing thyself. I am huge on knowing thyself. What's a trigger for you? A trigger for me? A trigger for me is not having an organized meeting. I'm gonna tell you, and I love to go in. I think I have about 3, 4 or so live streams within the past year and a half, or within my catalog of live streams about meeting management. I love a good meeting management conversation. I think it can make I think it can make or break communication, how your team is structured, everything. Like, mm, it's me all day. I'm with it when it comes to all the things relating to meeting management. But that's a trigger for me, right? That is a trigger for me. So we want to go with number one, and I'm going to put this up here. Um, Understand yourself, emotions, and triggers. Okay, that's number one. Understand your emotions and your triggers. So where do you start with that? Because I believe that we have to become self-aware. I tell you what, that's a ain't that the term of the century, right? Being self-aware. What does that mean? How do we really start to unpack that word self-awareness? Well, I'm going to give you my own definition. This is just, something that I picked up and also what I've learned. It's recognizing your own feelings, thoughts, actions, and characteristics. It's your knowing how you respond to things, how you respond to what people say, how you respond to the triggers. It can be in a written form. Listen, if somebody asks a question in an email and you want to pop off, and you want to say per my last, hey, where's my per my last crew at? Per my last email. Where's my per my last email crew? Because it's super important, y'all. Where are my per my last email crew? Like, who that is? Who that is, y'all? Who is that? And I think that is something that is really, really important to understand. The per my last email crew. I was just making sure. I think I had like a something was popping off. But okay, we're good to go. But per my last email crew, y'all. Okay. And that could be someone could say something in an email and you're just ready. I remember somebody said, and this was at what was it? Was it at a conference? I think it was, where somebody said that they use Chat GPT before they respond because they know their emotions, they know their trigger, they're very self-aware. So they say, this is what I want to say. And they put it in Chat GPT, and then they go and say, hey, I want to be able to say this in a better way. How can I say this in a better way? And so I think that is a hashtag genius to do it that way, because at least you're getting it all out. You're getting all of your emotions out. But this is why it's so important that we recognize as a project manager, because we are doing all the things. We are managing people, we have deliverables, we have tasks, we have things that we are up against, deadlines. We may not have money. Someone may quit. There's a lot of pressure that goes on in the day to day work. And I think it's just instrumental that we start tapping into even more being emotionally intelligent. Why? Because that also affects decision making. And if you're like me, there's always a lot of decisions to be made, or someone is always ringing the phone or the pinging the pings of the Slack or the MS Teams, and they are saying, "Hey, do we have a decision on X, Y, and Z?" Right? And so it's so important in this particular era that we're in that we are looking at ourselves not just as we got another project in the books. We're going to get another promotion because I'm able to knock this project out the park. And that's cool. Everybody got goals. I'm not trying to be in between you and your paper, be getting paid or anything like that. But what I want to say is that in order to go from great, you're a great PM. Oh, I know this. You do it and more. But being indispensable, here's the one skill you need. Oh, it's being emotionally intelligent. It is making sure that as a leader, you're understanding yourself, your others, your actions, your behaviors, your attitudes, whether it's nonverbal communication. Oh, let's talk about the nonverbal communication. Because you could be in a circumstance where what? Someone may say something to you, you're amongst your peers or your C-suite executives, somebody says something, and then you feel the spidey senses. You feel the spidey, you feel it. You feel it. And your face may say it all. You may want to say it because you may say, you know what, I held myself. But another person say, hey, you look like you were about to pop off. You look like you were upset. And so we have to begin to really hone in on the facials, the body language. There may be a slight shift in the way in your demeanor and the way that you carry yourself. And so we have to begin to assess that. Will you get it right all the time? Nah, because this is not about perfection, but this is about how we can tap in and say, hmm, hey, maybe I could have handled that better. Story time. I got a story. I remember maybe it was about a month or so ago, month, two ago, I think. I think it was a month, two ago, where I was in a meeting and the meeting didn't even go very well, to be honest. It did not go well at all. And I felt attacked in the meeting for sure. I will take accountability from the perspective of I don't think I came maybe as prepared with the questions that I needed to, or did I understand even process wise how I could identify the background. However, I was not the SME of the subject matter expert for this particular project, but I needed information to move from point A to point B. Boy, oh boy, when when I felt the insecurity of not knowing, and I felt a bit like, hungry. She coming for me. Okay, she coming for me. And again, my take, totally unnecessary, totally unnecessary. But I still had to think through mission wise, what do I need? What do I need? And so, no, like I said, it did not go well at all. I stayed as respectful as I could. I tried to not fluster myself, but I could feel the flustering coming. And again, understanding your triggers, your emotions. So vital, so important. So I even called my manager after and I said, hey, I just want to clear the air. I just want to let you know, boom, 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 boom. This is what happened. And to be quite honest, like, hey, that thing was rough. Because I don't want to be the type of person that is trying to act like it's all on one person. But and I'm already acknowledging, I'm saying, hey, I know that this is an area that I could have improved upon, but I also have recognized that I could have also taken my time to explain it this way, and it would have been more easier. Therefore, it would take more pressure off of me. I wouldn't have to have felt a certain way, all these different types of things. So that's where we are with understanding yourself and your emotions. And so I think another key point, and this is number 2. We only have a few more left. Um, Understanding your team is really crucial. And I think you can do this in a couple of different ways. A couple of different ways. Let me put this up here. Understanding your team. We're going beyond our meetings, and we are, if you are a hybrid and you're in the office, I'm challenging you to do this. I'm challenging you to do this. You need to take people out to lunch, coffee, have an excursion of sorts, and get to know people outside of the task, beyond the task. Who are they? What do they like? What don't they like? Do they have pets? I'm a big pet person. Shout out to the people who are dog owners. Do they go to farmers markets? I do. Hey, what's going on? Do they do escape room? I don't do escape room, but I would be interested to know, right? What hobbies do they have? Understanding your team is going beyond the surface level of the task that's done. It's so easy for us to say, like, let's not get, but so personable. The pandemic, I think, has forced us to start thinking about people more. But I think there's still a struggle of how do we actually tangibly and relationally, or rather, let me rephrase that. How do we, in an authentic way, get to know people that doesn't seem forced? And so a lot of times what we have to do is we have to create the atmosphere. That means you may need to have like a little icebreaker question. That might be something that's a formal, or it could be informal. If you get on a couple minutes early and people are in a meeting, you can say, "Hey, guess what I read? Guess what I heard is about to happen." And then you can go in from there and start drawing people in that way. Now, for those that are totally remote, perhaps you can get people together quarterly or maybe twice a year, if that's possible. If not, send mail, send cards, send stuff to people in the mail. People love to receive gifts. Me, myself, I love to send stuff in the mail. I just sent a whole bunch of cards off to people. Well, they were my friends, but you know, but let's take that idea and let's pull that apart. You got addresses. One of my directors did this. Addresses, blah 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 blah. Went in and mailed stuff out to people. And I think that is so cool to do. I think it's so thoughtful. I think it shows a level of care, especially if there are not resources that you can do to bring folks together. There's certain things that you can do. Gift cards, things of that nature. Hey, lunch on me today. Let's do it. Let's do it. I remember when I had a situation with a team and we were hybrid. Most of the people were in person, and then we had folks that were in different locations. We made sure that we were having a holiday event, and I put together a Jeopardy game, which I thought was super fun. Me and another coworker. We got food. We made sure that the people in the other that were remote, that they had gift cards so that they can go and order food from Uber Eats and do their thing, so that it would not feel out of place. Because oftentimes when we have this hybrid situation, a lot of times the hybrid folks, well, especially the remote, they often feel like, I'm just out here on my own. Hey, that's the song. On my own. That's the song, man. And they feel like they're on their own. But let's not. Let's not make them feel like they're on their own. Another key thing I think is super important in terms of how we're tapping into our emotional intelligence, especially with our team members, is observing the team dynamics. Who's seeing who gets along, who doesn't, if there's cliques, trying to make sure that everybody feels that their voice is heard. And that might mean that you might have to restructure the way that you do meetings to give others more time to shine or to present, to make sure that they are being heard. And so I think that is super important, that I want to make sure that we underscore. But there's two there for number one and number two. I want to highlight the fact that team assessments, personal development assessments are instrumental in this process. I'm a big fan, a big proponent. I'm a DISC and Strength Finders girl. Shout out to Dewan Matunga, who I took his course, which was fantastic. And also my favorite personal development coach, almost in the universe, Juan Alvarado on Strength Finders. Love it all to pieces. I think it's important to know thyself and know thy team. And I think having an objective assessment is super helpful. And so I'm just going to share my screen. And, oh, this is the human behavior roadmap. Let's see how this cooks. I love it, y'all. So in the human behavior roadmap, let me go out a little bit. I just went and took the course and put it in this thing called Miro, which is, y'all know I'm like a huge Miro fan. And so I was like, let me, as I'm taking this course, take my results and chart it out. So here's what you see right here. Instagram fam, you're gonna have to go to YouTube to see all the things. But you're looking at what is the DISC, and it's gonna tell me the D, which is how I approach and solve problems. The I, how I interact with people. The S, how I tend to pace things, methodical and systems, and how I adhere to protocols and procedures. This has been super instrumental in what I say, helping me to better understand. And I'm trying to go down and oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. So this kind of helps me to, again, better understand, the DISC. Okay. So it kind of has this thing here where, let me refresh this page as well. See if I can refresh it. Okay. I think it's back. Okay. I'm trying to go down. Will it let me go down? No. Okay. Well, and that's okay. But what we're doing here is this is the breakdown that it has, where I am looking at, like, I'm an I and an S. So I'm an 88 I and an 81 S, which means that I am all about the people. I am enthusiastic, I'm sociable, I'm inspiring, gregarious, stabilizing. Stabilizing. This is about the systems and the processes. Me, I'm a good on, I'm gonna have a routine. Me, I'm a routine kind of girl. Now, here's the thing. There's sometimes where you just have to break forth and break out, people. And I'm going to stop my share for a minute so that I'm just going to read a little bit. But it says right here that the high S, high I combo, this is according to the course I took. This is what's going on. The high SI combo predominantly focuses on people, encouraging and empowers. I'm a high S, I serve and support. My whole jam is I'm going to be the encourager. Where do you need me to be? How can I tap in? One of the things that I learned, though, which is a pro tip that I'm implementing right now, is like, how does one implement rest and also focus on oneself? So this is why it's so important to know yourself, to know how to manage your emotions, your triggers. This is why it's good for your team, so that you know where do they fall on the spectrum of everything, right? So that you can begin to relate to them even more. Does that make sense? I'd love to hear some comments. And I'm going to, what's interesting also about this too is that I also have a part of the mural board where I am looking at how do I make decisions? Like, what's my current decision making process and strategies that I need to strengthen it? Why am I saying this? Because I'm a 17, I believe, when it comes to all of this, when it comes to making decisions, and it's new decisions, right? Not the ones that I am familiar with. These are like new decisions because I need information. So one of the things that I need when I think about bringing people on in terms of a team is I'm going to need someone that is going to help sharpen me with making quicker decisions. I'm all about what's the risk? What's the risk, people? So here we are talking about that, talking about understanding yourself, know thyself, know your triggers and emotions, understanding your teams. And number 3 is reflect and journal. How about that? How about that, folks? Who saw that one coming as being an emotionally intelligent PM? I put that in there. Why? Because in this day and age, and this is me, and I'm just being 100 with y'all. This is a practice. This is a practice, y'all. We all should be pausing and reflecting. We all should be journaling. We all should be taking time out to do our own assessment. What's going well? What's not? How did I respond to this? And this is going to be something that we have to be diligent about and intentional about. I set up a journal thing last week and forgot I needed to do it. So it's been almost about 7 days, but I started today. And so all of that's going to have to be intentional. So now I need to set a reminder. Maybe every few days I journal. I used to have a thing where I was like, oh, it's going to be every day. I used to do it every day and then, schedule things and then you just forget. But I need a way, a better disciplined approach that I can take for pause and reflecting. So I'm going to start with every couple days. Every couple days. And one of the things that's also been really refreshing for me too is, hey, let's do a little audio. Let's do a little audio recording. So I'll be up in my squadcast, y'all, doing my thing. I'm all up in my squadcast, doing my thing. And so that's also been super, super important for me to, to tap into. You know what I'm saying? Squadcast. I love a good squadcast. Okay. Okay. Squadcast is also a podcasting tool, just so that you know. What's going on, Claudia Lachelle? Hope that you're doing super well. Thank you so much for joining on the Insta. Last but not least, folks, because there is a last but not least, having tough conversations. Hey, this is what's going to help everybody. Oh, and also a practical application tip. Notion is a good tool to use for all things reflecting and journaling. Having tough conversations, I tell you, this is what it means to be an emotionally intelligent project manager. Hey now, folks, having tough conversations, not running away from the conflict. I did a PM monthly sync last year, and we did a whole thing on conflict resolution. It's great. I think, and I have a podcast episode from the communication season. That's last season 6, where I talk about how to fight with grace, and it's good. Go to conversationswithaskash.com. How to fight with grace. Talks about conflict, what you should do, all the things. Me, I think it's a great episode. It's a good solo ep. Solo epi. But having tough conversations is crucial. I used to run away from them because I was like, ooh, I don't want to touch that. But it's so necessary. Let's have the tough conversations. Also, let's confront things live. I think that's also something that I've been stepping into more within this past year and a half. Let's just have it live. And I think this really helps to spur, I would say, innovation, creativity. I think it's good. I think it's very good to do it. I think it's very much okay to say, hey, I just want to ask a few questions because I'm kind of not quite understanding what you're saying. Or could you further explain this? This is how I'm seeing it, but I want you to course correct me in helping me understand your point of view. That's, so those are the types of things I say. Or I could just really say, hey, I kind of think we're going off the wrong path, and this is why. I think that's so important. So you can take an approach of and also make sure that it's not personal. Make sure it's focused on the problem or the issue. Make sure it's focused on the problem or the issue. And so I think that's what we often get lost in the sauce about, which is like, why did he say it that way? Why did they say something earlier? All that stuff, right? You got to make sure that you're just able to tackle what the issue is. And if you can't do it in the moment, because you gotta know the people and know the circumstance to like jump in. It's kind of like double dutch. Well, I don't know if this is double dutch, but it's kind of like it. That's what it is. You got to know when to jump in. Sometimes you have to reflect and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing, and what is it that I want to say? So I had to do that with another person I was working with. We were working, we were having, a good time. We're working on the project. And then there was a couple conversation points as I started reflecting and doing other work and going about my day. And I was like, I think we may need to revisit. So I went and said, hey, I want to double tap on something. Like on Instagram, you're like, "Do-do-do-do." And this was really double tapping, meaning like, let's us have a conversation. I want to make sure that we're on the same page about X. I want to make sure that we're on the same page about this particular topic. This is what I think I heard, but I want to make sure that I'm understanding your position, because this is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm seeing. Are we on the same page? Come on, tough conversations. Now, what happens? Because somebody's about to say, well, actually, what if somebody does not want to work with you? What if they are just nasty? What if they're just like, what if they're just like you just can't even deal? Well, I always say this. You have to find a way to still communicate with that person. You may need to get a third party. But I think that there is such value, even in with the people that are not your favorite people, not your cup of teas. I think it's super important to make the issue and not personalize it as much. But that's tough. I'm not saying that it's easy, because you're just like, I don't know if I'm gonna want to talk to this person. But I think it's really important to say, all right, this is how I'm going to approach it. Let's have a conversation about this. I want to hear your perspective on this. So I've done something where I was in a huge meeting and someone felt attacked in that meeting. I hung up the phone and I was like, man, hey, let's talk about what's going on. Like, let's talk about what happened. First of all, let's talk about what happened. So we were able to break what happened down and where the communication issues were. And I ended up apologizing. That person ended up apologizing. And we're still navigating. We're still navigating the way in which we may approach the work, the strategy. We're still working on it. And I want to let you know that that's okay. As long as you're moving past the stumbling block and not making the stumbling block the thing that's like put you face forward every time. So that's it, my friends. That's it. We talked about 4 things today about how to become an emotionally intelligent PM. The first thing that you should be doing is understanding yourself, your emotions, and your triggers. You also need to understand your team, going beyond the task, going beyond the routine things, thinking of creative ways to get them to know them as human beings. Reflect and journal, taking time to assess how are things going. Asking others how things are going. What are their perspectives, and putting that into your own system of note taking. And then also not being afraid of having tough conversations and figuring out what your approach is going to be, how you're going to do it, what's going to be your angle when you confront these situations. So becoming an emotionally intelligent project manager is really about being in tune with what's happening, actions, behaviors, attitudes, and emotions and triggers. and being able to read the room, being able to coach somebody, you being able to be coachable. So you can begin to dive in, and also you'll be able to see how you can improve communication, increase productivity, and improve the overall project performance. And that, my friends, makes you indispensable. Until next time, you all have a wonderful day. Make sure that you replay this to yourself and to your friends. Make sure you do that. Make sure you do that. Send it to 3 or 4 to 5 other project leaders. And until next time, you all have a great rest of the evening and a great rest of the week. We'll see you.